Okay, ladies and gentlemen, wonderful to be back. Often wonder where I get this enthusiasm from, but love it. I'm really excited, keep saying it, to show you guys the kind of stuff that how I approach the market is very, very different to what you see out there. A lot of it, obviously, I've been influenced by, my institutional background, but also a lot of it is just realizing that I need to do things differently to everyone else. To have any chance in this ruthless business. So just wanted to mention that. I'm really, really happy to be able to help you to do that too. Gets boring just doing all of this on my own. It's really nice. The more of you that do it, the more kind of interaction I can have with other people. You might spot things I don't, obviously opportunity for me to learn as well. Unless I show you how to do this properly, we're not going to be able to have those conversations. So really, really enjoying doing this together. What I've decided to do anyway, look, we're here to actually build something and not just talk. So we've done these basically 80% of it. The most, I would say, even more important than payrolls, the number one event is FOMC. So we're going to put that in. Okay, it's not necessarily an event like retail sales, because things like the federal funds rate can stay stable, and you can see that it's been, at least the way I'm looking at it, it's been at the zero level for a long time, many months, almost 2 years. The Fed have been using their balance sheet to really influence the economy, as opposed to the federal funds rate. When you come to do this, the federal funds rate may actually be moving, right? And there's a lot of talk of 2022. There's definitely, I think there's certain to be at least 2-3 rate hikes unless something changes. When you come to do this, you may well see this rate slightly differently. So obviously I can only go on the way that I'm viewing it at this moment in time. But what we're going to do, I've decided, is we're going to let's just follow the order. So we're going to put in the FOMC, because there's no set schedule to it. It's very difficult. Like, it's not always in the third week. So it's for fourth week. So it's difficult for us to really solidify exactly where it's going to fall. It's nice to have it in here as a reminder, but then what I like to do is I just like to have a separate tab. Okay, so this time we will start a blank tab. Okay, I hit plus there. Let me move this to the side just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to drag this sheet 14 all the way over here. Okay, I'm going to rename it FOMC. I'm going to make the tab red, because don't forget, it's a red event. Tab color red. Okay, and now we're going to build the calendar. So I'm going to show you how I have it. You can build it any way you want. Okay, this is not what makes you a good trader. Okay, I just like to be neat, and I have it in this kind of format. Please, by all means, do not feel obliged to do it in this same way. Okay, this is how I like to have it. I'm going to show you how I build it like this, and then you can do the same or something completely different. Okay, so as you know, I like to have my view with no grid lines. Okay, so again, you can have grid lines, not, it's up to you. It really doesn't make a difference. The actual data, there's two ways of doing this. Okay, it's not as easy as, for example, if you're going to take data from here, it's nicely laid out for you in chronological order. There's a couple of issues. Okay, so I mean, you've got the federal funds rate. Okay, and you have, in theory you do have some dates here. Because I don't have the forward dates in a predictable format, like I don't know if it's always going to be in the third week or the fourth week or so on and so forth. I actually go and take it off the Federal Reserve website. Okay, so instead of using this here, I'm going to go straight to the website. Can you see the source here, Federal Reserve? If you click on that, can't remember exactly where it is. It's somewhere in the calendars. Monetary policy should be here somewhere. I cannot remember, to be honest. It will be somewhere in here. FOMC calendar, I think it's somewhere. But anyway, the way that I find it is I just Google it. So what you can do, pull up Google. Okay, let me just put that in here. Can you see I type in FOMC calendar and it will actually show me, it's the same website, right, federalreserve.gov, but it just takes me straight there. I click on it, FOMC calendars, okay, I mean, I could probably, there you go, calendar. Okay, calendar, and then probably it's in here, FOMC meetings, submit, there you go, FOMC calendar, maybe, there you go, okay, so we found it, I found it anyway, but I've always done it through Google, so you can see here, type in FOMC calendar, and then it takes me to the page, or I just found it, didn't I, there, so you can either do it that way, or you can click on the Federal Reserve. You can go to calendar at the top, and then you see here FOMC calendar, you can click on that. So either one's fine, whichever way you want to find it. So let's go back to it. Now obviously yours is going to be slight, I keep saying this, but it is really important, okay? I don't want you to get panicked and think, oh my god, Envy's looking at different dates. I'm not, it's just a different point in time. It's the same principle, okay? And it should give you confidence that this is going to last you a lifetime. It doesn't matter when you're watching this, just follow the same principles that I have, and you'll be absolutely fine. First, let's put the link, okay? So copy, Control C, and I've put it in cell D2 here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build it slightly on this side, just because my head is going to be blocking it, and then I'm going to move it across afterwards, otherwise my head may actually end up blocking. Actually, let's take a risk. Actually, we should be okay. Yeah, let's take a risk. Okay, let's put it there, and then right click paste. Okay, so you've got the link. So if ever in future you need to come back here, yeah, you can Google it, but you've got the link. You can just obviously paste that into your browser. Okay, that's fine. Next thing we're going to do, so I like to do, I'm just having a look at how I've got my calendar set up, is I like to put here FOMC date, okay, then I like to put the week of the month. Remember, we're looking here, if you scroll across to your calendar, we're always thinking about what typical week I want to see, and in fact, I'm sorry about this, actually no, that's right, typical month, it's the week within the month, so yeah. We want to know typically what week it falls in, so I've put here week, and then I've put the rate, federal funds rate. Okay, don't worry, we'll discuss about what the federal funds rate is. You can see it here, I think. Interest rate at which depository institutions lend balances held at the Federal Reserve to other depository institutions overnight. Very straightforward, and don't worry if that doesn't make any sense to you. I'll explain it to you when we discuss the FOMC. For now, just put down a federal funds rate, because that is what is there. And what else have we got next? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. The way that I like to do it is I like to have all the dates of the prior year to the one I'm in, and then all the dates of the year that I am in, or for 12 months going forward. So to give you an example, let's say you're in the middle of 2024, you'd probably want all of 2023, maybe 2024, and maybe 2025, 3 years, right? Or you could just have, to be honest, if you're in the middle of 2024, you don't necessarily need 2023, okay? I'm giving you an example here. Let's say you're in 2024, right, that's January, going down to December, January, December, and you're here right now. You probably just want it the whole of this year and then 2025. So you're well prepared. You know the few months that have just gone, and then you've got your whole future dates there. It's more important about what's coming up. For me right now, I'm here. I'm literally at the 0 point of 2022. So I'm going to take everything 1 year before me and 1 year afterwards, okay? That's how I would do it. Just think about, you don't have to do exactly as I say, just roughly, wherever you are, few months before, and then at least a year and a bit ahead of you, okay? So you cover at least cover one full calendar year. You could even be 2025 in the middle. Make sure you cover the rest of 2025 and then the whole of the following year, Okay, so let's do it that way. Wherever you are now, minimum, let me put here, minimum 1 full year ahead. Okay, so just make sure you cover 1 full year ahead of you, including the year that you're in, and then a little bit of history behind you. Okay, now because I'm quite nicely placed here, I'm just literally at the start of the year. Basically, I'm just going to do the year before me and the year ahead. Okay, makes total sense. So that's what I'm going to do. So the way that I like to do it is I like to have the first meeting of the year. Okay, and again, just use this as a template, adjust it for where you are in the year. Next year this is the year I'm in, as in I've just finished 2021. Okay, so can you see here the first meeting was when? January the 26th. What it is, there'll be 2 dates, right? So you're always going to see 26 to 27, and what happens is the Federal Reserve or the FOMC committee, they get together for 2 days. That's why you have 2 days, but the statement is always released when the meeting finishes. Okay, so it's always going to be that second day, and you can prove it yourself. Go to the calendar. You know, the first one I see here is January 26th to 27th. Okay, if I go, let me see, January 2020, find the 26th to 27th. Can you see the FOMC statement is on the 27th? There's nothing there on the 26th. Even though, right, I have 26 to 27. Can you see I'm only got an economic release on the day it finishes. So I'm only interested as a trader. Again, this is all about being a trader. If I was an economist, I might be all concerned about the 2 days, and you know, I'm not. As a trader, I'm interested about the statement that will be released on the day the meeting finishes, the day the statement comes out. You saw that there. Let's prove it to ourselves another time. Let's look at the month that I'm in right now, or just finishing, December 14th to 15th. I would expect a release on the 15th on my calendar. Okay, is that the case? Let's go to my current latest one. Okay, can you see it there? 15th. Okay, do you see the meeting was 14 to 15? But I'm not interested in the 14, I'm only interested in the 15. Why is that important? Because I've got my calendar here. I'm going to put the FOMC date as the day it finishes, when the statement comes out, because that's the date I care about. Okay, so you will have to do this manually. Okay, you could, in theory, I believe, do it straight from here. I'm not sure if they should have it. Yeah, there you go. January 27th, March 17th, April 28th, June, July. They've got all the dates there anyway, but because they don't have the future dates, and I'm interested in future dates, I'm actually going to go and put this in myself manually. Okay, I'm happy to do it. That you might be able to, you know, it's the first time I've never thought of this. You might be able to skip forward a year and maybe find when it should be in the 3rd or 2nd week. There you go. Can you see it there? FOMC statement. You can skip forward a year and you might be able to have the dates. There you go. So you do actually have the dates. I beg your pardon. No, I didn't. Just thought of doing it that way. That's a clever way of doing it. If you want to do it and you can copy all the dates like that, that's up to you. I'm actually going to go straight off the Federal Reserve website. Gives me a little bit more confidence. It's such an important release. I don't want a mistake to be made. I want to make sure I got the right date. So I'm actually going to take it directly from that. This is going to be correct. Don't get me wrong. You can use this if you want. Skip forward 1 year, as you saw I did there. And do it that way. If you, I don't even know if it will let you go a whole calendar year forward when you try it, but that is obviously one way of doing it. I prefer to just take it off here. Okay, I've pretty much said that to death, but okay, I've made that clear. So I'm going to copy this in. Okay, 27th of January 2021. Don't worry about the week, we can deal with that later. Then I like to skip. Can you see here the way I have it, my formatting? I like to have a gap to signify that it's the following month. It's just preference. You can have 7 gaps, 2 gaps, 1 gap, doesn't matter, or no gap. really doesn't matter. Okay, it's just the way I like to lay it out. Then 2, meeting number 2 of the year, right? When is that? March 17th. So I put that in 17th of March 21. Meeting number 3, April 28th. Okay, so 28th, 421. Obviously, if you're in a different country, US, I know you've got everything you can see is actually in American date format. April 28th. It's because I'm in the UK, I do 28th of April. Okay, so don't worry about that. Just do it in the way that is comfortable for you. Doesn't make any difference. 16th of June. Okay, I'm going to go all the way down, right? And I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I did all that. I didn't want you to have to wait around and watch me do it. You do it according to where you are. You know, your dates might be completely different to mine. You might be in 23, to keep saying it, but it's true, because I don't want you to worry if, you know, you're seeing here 21 and you're in 23, 24. It doesn't matter. Make sure you just, as I've said, get a little bit of history behind you and then finish off the year that you're in and do one full year after you, okay? And you will always see on the Federal Reserve website next year, okay? So make sure you put next year in. So I've done the year that I've just finished. So this is going to be my history. I'm going to do next year now, okay? So click on next year, 2022. Can you see all the dates are there for me? Okay, obviously there's not been any releases. If you go back, sorry, I don't know what happened there. But if you see here, all the statements are there. Can you see? I can look at statements because the meetings are finished. Okay, 2022, there's no, for me, because I'm just getting into 2022, there's no meetings. There's 8 meetings in a year. Okay, so let's just double check that. For 2021, the one that I've just come out of, keep scrolling up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, all looks right. Just want to make sure I haven't made a mistake. We'll scroll down. I think it is at the bottom of the page. You can either scroll down or just press 2022. What I'm going to do now is I'll leave one. Let me just see how many gaps I leave. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I leave 3 gaps. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I start again. Okay, so 1, and in fact you can just copy this. Okay, copy. So copy. Sorry, keep using shortcuts. Copy, and then paste. Okay, and I'm hoping I'm not covering anything. Yeah, I am. Can you see I'm covering that? My head covers it, doesn't it? Okay, what I'm going to do, and you don't need to do this, is just so I can move it slightly away from my head, is I'm just going to push this out a little bit. So I'm going to insert some cells here. I'm going to highlight those 2. Insert. Do it again. Insert. Let's just do it once more. Insert. Yep, that's got that away from. Okay, so it's just in front of me there. So once we've finished this, I'm going to move it back. But for now, I'm just leaving it there so you can see what I'm doing and it's very clear to you. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Can you see? January, I'm not interested in the 25th because the meeting's still ongoing. There's no statement. I'm only interested in the statement date when I actually need to pay a lot of attention to it. So 26th of Jan, for me, it's 26th of Jan 22. Then 16th of March, okay? So again, you can follow along. 22. The reason why I like to do this, is nice to do this, is you can start to see a pattern. Do you see that? In the last week of January, they had a meeting last year. They now have a meeting in the last week of January. It won't always be like that, but generally. So even though I said it's not a predictable pattern, it is, but it isn't a predictable pattern in the sense that I can put it in here and say it's always in week 2 of the month. Do you see? It will vary. It's enough of a predictable pattern that I can put it in here as a kind of, be careful of it, but in terms of actually having to go one step further, unfortunately, it's not in the same week every month. But in terms of the year where it falls, typically it does follow a similar pattern. So you can see there, 3rd week, and then May, 4th of May. So we've got it. Do you see there? It fell in the 4th week of April. This time it's in the 1st week of May. So like I said, it will have slight differences. So 4th of May 22. This is why I want you to do this exercise, so you can learn about when do the Fed meet. Very, very important that you just become familiar with how they operate. 15th of June, 27th of July. I might as well do these with you now that we're here. 21st of September 22, and then 2nd of November 22. Once you've done this once, you won't need to do this for another year. You can just update it in a few months' time or whatever. Just keep on top of this, obviously, but you only need to do it once in a while. As you can see, it's so easy to maintain these things. It's not difficult at all. So we've got all the dates there. Now I'm going to change this format. You know how I like it. You know, this type of format, so I can see the day. So all I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to select one of these. I'm going to use the format painter. I'm going to come here to FOMC. I'm going to select one of those. Okay, so that's changed it. You can either double click here or just widen it a bit. Okay, there you can see Wednesday, the 27th of January. Because I want the same formatting, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to select one and hit Control, hold Control so you can select multiple cells. Okay, and in theory, to be honest, you could just highlight all of them because we're not going to use the cells in between. You can highlight all of them, it doesn't matter. Okay, now what you need to do, not use the format painter because we want to do a multiple selection, is you're going to right click, paste special, and formats. Okay, formats. There you go. Can you see it converted all of them? Perfect. Do you see the FOMC statement? The FOMC always meet on a Tuesday and the meeting finishes on a Wednesday, and the release of the statement is on the Wednesday. Can you see why I love this format? Because straight away it's telling me, oh, Wednesday is the day the FOMC will release the statement. That's the day I need to watch out for my trading in a particular week. It's always going to be that Wednesday where that big data release happens. Now, I'm just going to move this week just to the side a little bit there. Now, this I typically tend to do manually, okay? Week 4 is just roughly, okay? Don't worry if it's not exact. Week 3, okay? Week 4, week 3, week 4, week 3. That's week 1. Week 3, approximately 26th of Jan. That's going to be towards the end of the month. So again, week 4, week 3, week 1, right? Week 3. Week 4 of the month, right? It's towards the end of the month, 27th of July. This is very approximate, right? Week 3, week 1, okay, week 4. So can you see, typically it is in towards the end of the month. I'm just trying to see, is there a pattern here? And then also when I come into the month, do you see it's easy when I'm planning, when we do this together and we're planning our month to see, hey, what's coming up next month? I can just see straight away, all right, I need to worry about FOMC towards the end of the month. I don't need to panic too much right now. For example, if I'm in January, which I am right now, January 2022, I can just say to myself, you know what? I don't need to worry about FOMC this month until the end of the month. And then I already know I've got what? Without even looking at the tab, I got GDP, advanced GDP for Q4. I'm going to get the first release of how the economy performed in quarter 4 in January. I've got the FOMC as well, so maybe the market won't pay so much attention to GDP. That we really focused on the FOMC, so I need to really pay attention to that. And you can see that here. Okay, see that? GDP, we know this now, we've done this enough together. The FOMC will fall here. Do you see how useful it is to have this calendar and have those weeks marked out? Because straight away I know this month I only need to worry about towards the end of the month. You can see I like to have these little color codings here. Okay, now easy to do that. Excel will do that for you. It will highlight it based on, you know, how high or low a number is, basically where in the month it is. So what I do, just select all of them, okay, individually. So to do that, you click on one, press Control, and then just keep selecting all of them. Okay, and we're going to apply conditional formatting. Conditional formatting, and you see this color scale, and you can just select, I think that's the one I use, but you can select whatever you want, however you want it to be. That one makes the most sense to me, because now I can see straight away, oh, these are all week 4s. Do you see, it's really nice and visual, isn't it? And one thing I should have done, which unfortunately I didn't, when you highlight all of them, bit of a pain, I'll do it again, but that's okay, is I'm just going to set them in cells. As in, I like to have little grid lines on these individual ones because I've turned off my... So again, you know, if you haven't turned off grid lines, you may not want to do all of this the way I'm doing it, but I have, so I like to have that. Should have done it here as well, but again, these, okay, I only need to really do this once. Once I've done it once, I can do it here. Clever way of doing it. If you click on that, you've done it then. You can copy these. Okay, just copy and then here, paste. Okay, so it's done because they're identical, the formatting. Then what I like to do, now this is up to you, you don't have to do this. I'm just a bit of a neat freak, as you guys have noticed. I like things to be very neat. And the reason is, when I was in investment banking, I used to present a lot of these things, you know, graphs and things like that. So it's very important for me anyway, that I presented them to senior people in a neat format, okay? Don't know why, it just was quite important. So I've kept that habit. If you're using this at home, really don't worry about it. It really makes no difference. Don't worry. If yours looks a little bit not as neat and tidy, makes no difference, okay? The main thing is that you are applying it in your trading in the correct way, okay? No one cares, okay? The market doesn't care. If yours looks as neat as mine, I'm just trying to explain to you why I'm like this. So just want to make sure I'm not blocking this. So what I like to do here is merge. Where is it gone? So if I expand that, can you see merge and center? Merge that, and this is 2021 for me. Last year, this might be again 22, 23, it might be 2024, 25, doesn't matter. Whatever your current year, previous year history is, you can put it in here. Okay, as you know, I like to have the black sort of color fill. Okay, white writing, bold. Now to get this, do you see how I've got my calendar like this, where I've got it sideways? I like that, quite nice look. You just need to change the orientation. So you right click on it, format cells. I think it's here somewhere. Can you see alignment? Okay, and text. Flip that up like that. Okay, hit OK. There you go. It's there. Now we just need to center it. Hit center. There you go. See that? Really nice and neat. That's how I like it. You don't have to. You can make that a little bit smaller. Okay, now you can copy that. Should work this, and then paste here. There you go. Okay, and just change that to the following year, 2022. So this is, for me, going to be the next year. This is historical. This is going forward, 2022. Just want to make sure I'm not covering. Yep, just there, not covering it. So you can see it's really starting to take shape now, isn't it? You can see it's identical. The only thing we've got left to do is the federal funds rate. Okay, so let's put that in. Just going to make this a little bit smaller, just neaten things up a little bit. Don't need it to be so big. Okay, federal funds rate. Let's move that across one. Federal funds rate is basically the interest rate, right, that the FOMC have set at the latest meeting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these asterisks in, and I'll explain to you what they are. It's the economic projections that the FOMC make throughout the year about where they think, you know, certain things are going to end up in terms of economic data. Very, very useful, I think. We'll discuss them when we talk about the FOMC, but they're obviously not released every single, they don't make projections all the time. In fact, can you see here? A meeting associated with the summary of economic projections, okay? So you'll see them here, projection materials. They don't make economic projections at every meeting. It'll be too onerous and a bit pointless. They update the market about what they think about certain economic projections. So obviously quite important. They do that I think every other meeting or so. So there you go, every other meeting. They skip it, other meeting, skip it, other meeting. So I'm just going to put an asterisk in here, okay? So you can do that too. So it's not there, it's the March meeting. So that one, okay, can you see that? Then the 4th meeting, the June, asterisk. 6th meeting, September, I believe, are they doing it? Yep, and then December. just a little reminder to myself that the economic projections will be coming. Let me just move these. I'm going to align these to the left so they don't look so wonky. There you go. Okay, nice and neat. Let's just make sure, for me, the following type period is the same. So meeting 2, meeting 4, 6, and 8. Yeah, perfect. So we're going to copy that and paste that. Okay. Get very paranoid. You might see me looking up all the time. I'm just making sure that it's recording, because, you know, I've had a nightmare before. When I was doing the Pro Foundation course, I said it before, I've literally recorded an hour or two, and then I haven't even had the record button on, so I get very paranoid. Just want to make sure it's recording, and it is recording, thankfully. So we just got this federal funds rate now to go. So in the federal funds rate, I'm going to take that off here. Okay, now back to my trusty old calendar. I'm going to come back to the last meeting. So for me it was 15th of December, so that's here. Okay, and can you see federal funds rate? Okay, there's so many places you can get this from, websites, and type in federal funds rate history, and there's so many places you can get them from. Okay, so it's up to you how you do this. You can either just take them off here. You know, it might be a bit trickier because I'm in a period where I'm lucky, where the whole of the history of my year, federal funds rate never changed. Okay, it was always 0 to 0.25. So can you see? Maintain the target range of 0 to 0.25. All right, now if you're not familiar with what that means, it's not going to make any much sense to you, but it's very straightforward. What that means is the Federal Reserve have set the interest rate target. It's a target to be between 0 and 0.25. So most of the market will call it 0%. You know, you've heard this, the Fed, many central banks at the moment have 0 interest rates, right? What happens is, in practice, that's not possible to kind of guarantee that rate, because it's basically a target of 0, but it's the kind of way they do it is they do it between 0 and 0.25. So they target institutions to lend to each other overnight at between 0 and 0.25. We'll discuss this range, okay, so don't worry about it too much, but the point is that is how it's written down for all intents and purposes. Kind of 0 interest rate. Here you can see it will be 1 to 1.25. Okay, this where it says 1.75, it will be 1.5 to 1.75. Okay, 2%, 1.75 to 2%. Okay, and so on and so forth. That's how the Federal Reserve kind of depicts it when it states these things. So don't worry too much about it. Just copy the same. Okay, copy. Just know what it means, basically, roughly. Okay, 0.25. Now, you only ever have to do this once. If yours are slightly different, you may need to copy them individually and whatever. It's a little bit of an onerous process, but you'll only have to do it once, and it's well worth the effort. Because my whole history is 0.25, I'm just going to copy that. I'll make all of these, made a mistake there, all of these 0.25 by pressing Control and then clicking all the cells. Right click, paste. Okay, and in fact, no, that's okay. What else do I do? Just want to make this, and this. The headings, as you know, I like to make them black with the outline like that. Okay, and that is pretty much it. I think we are almost there now. Cannot see any difference between those two. Can you? I cannot see any difference. Right, so that's pretty much what you should end up with, relevant to the year that you're in. Okay, brilliant advantage this is going to give you. You're going to know now, ahead of anyone else, you're going to know the most important date of the year, when it is, roughly when it is, what time of the year. Look, for next year, every single month, I know it's May that I got to think about it being in the first kind of week of the month, when I've got what? I've got my manufacturing services and payrolls. Wow, in May I've also got FOMC to deal with. Right, do you remember that? Manufacturing services, payrolls, I'm also going to have FOMC to deal with. Okay, so you can see how useful that is. You can move this across. It will, obviously I will block it a little bit now. can move that across if you've been doing what I've been doing. I'm going to end up blocking that a little bit, but that's your FOMC calendar. Hopefully that's useful. Can't wait to finish off with the last GDP, I think it was GDP data, and then you can see we're really cooking on gas now. We've got, if you expand, we've got everything going. We've got the calendar, we've got manufacturing, services, payrolls, CPI. The way that I jump through these tabs, I press Control and page up or page down, and it just allows me to jump through the tabs. Great way of flicking through the data nice and quickly, or you can just use your mouse, but just in case you're wondering what I'm doing. So we've got manufacturing, we've got services, we've got payrolls, and the unemployment rate. We've got CPI month on month, CPI year on year, retail sales, FOMC. We're getting there, right? We're really starting to get to some high levels of fundamental data in front of us now, placed in a way that we can do some amazing analysis. And then finally, we just got advanced GDP. I'll see you on the other side for the GDP, and then we'll finish all the other ones off and we're done.